Stan, thanks for being here, going through the process, all that you've done. I do want to clarify some things, though, a couple of my colleagues have mentioned as well. President Biden, on his very first full day in office, stood in front of the staff of the White House and said this statement. I'm not joking when I say this. If you ever work with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. The challenge you have, obviously, is walking in some of your previous statements, as you've already mentioned. You actually have tweeted more in the past 4 years than President Trump tweeted, as far as just numbers, and it's been pretty hostile, obviously. You've called Republicans criminally ignorant, corrupt, and the worst. And as you've already mentioned, over 1,000 tweets have actually been deleted by you as you try to clear up. There's still a lot that's there as well. All that's partisan. I get that. I do have a concern, though, because some of the statements that you've made seem to drift out of the partisan issues. One statement that you made about people that have the personal religious convictions about contraception, like Little Sisters of the Poor and others, called them a successful political cudgel, helping isolate extreme advocates from the mainstream. That one seems to cross a different line for me. So help me understand how the personal religious beliefs of some Americans could be a successful political cudgel.
Well, Senator, first of all, I want to say that if for anyone offended by my language, I feel badly about that. I think in that regard, I was more speaking to people who politicize religion, not people who believe in religion, and political leaders who politicize religion, not people. I'm a person of faith myself and deeply respect people of all faiths and all faith traditions.
The context didn't seem to be about people that use religion as a cudgel. It seemed to be that the personal beliefs of those individuals became the cudgel. That's the part that threw me in that. So we can talk more at length on this, but obviously President Biden has talked a lot about tone. You walk into this being hired with a very, very different tone than when President Biden says that he is looking for on that. So that's kind of stood out in this process to us. And we're hopeful that if confirmed, that this is a very different thing. Something that this committee has asked pretty frequently of nominees is, will you commit to working across the aisle? And that's one we have to ask you a little more blunt than others, because it's been pretty clear that hasn't been your position in the past.
Senator, I very much appreciate that question. I do. I want to say that I do think the last several years have been very polarizing, and I apologize for my language that has contributed to that. I would also say that in previous times, I've worked across the aisle on issues like support of the transatlantic relationship, immigration, support for small businesses, worked even in the last few years with institutions like AEI and Cato on these important issues. And so I know it's on me to demonstrate to this committee and to Republican members and Democratic members I can work with anyone. And that burden is on my shoulders, and it is one that I plan to take on. And I will do my best to work with you on any issue that we can and where we can make progress for the American people.
Let's try to figure that out. Guidance documents is one of the key issues we've talked a lot about. I was quite shocked that the first week of the Biden administration, they took away an executive order that did something pretty simple. It just told agencies to collect all their guidance documents and put them all in one place so a small business could find them. It didn't seem to be partisan. It seemed to be a pretty good idea to say, don't hide your guidance, put it all in one spot so a small business owner doesn't have to search for it, they can actually find it. Is that something that you would work to reinstate so small business owners don't have to play hide and seek with agencies on finding the guidance that applies to them?
Senator, I absolutely believe that guidance should be transparent and very easily accessible. So I can commit to you that if I am privileged to be confirmed, I will try to understand the rationale behind the action taken and work with you. But
that's one we're all pretty surprised about, to be able to figure out why suddenly good government was a bad idea. I assume just because it had Trump's name on it, but we can't seem to figure out any other reason that would be taken away at that point. We've worked very hard to try to pass something called the Taxpayers' Right to Know. It's a bill I've had for years. It passed unanimously in the House. It then passed at the end of the year in December, both House and Senate, signed by the President. Taxpayers' right to know focus on one simple thing. How do we actually expose duplication in government? How can we see each program, actually identify each program, how many staff are assigned to the program, and if it's evaluated, how it's evaluated? Obviously, this is going to take a couple of years to roll out, but that would fall in your desk to be able to get that out. The goal is that the American people and members of Congress could actually type in a search and to be able to see where there's duplication in government. Currently, we have to go to GAO, and it takes a year and a half to be able to find out what we should be able to get in 18 seconds on a quick search. This is going to be a major project, obviously, and I hope to be able to work with you on that to be able to get that done if you're finished up with your nomination and appointed on that one. Another one that Senator Hassan and I have worked on extensively is dealing with ending government shutdowns. It's a problem that we have worked on for years. It's a problem that we think needs to be resolved on it. It's one that we would need the cooperation of OMB to be able to make sure the language is right. But every time there's a government shutdown, there's a loss of finances for the taxpayer, obviously uncertainty for everyone in the federal family of all those federal workers across the country. It's a very big issue that we've got to be able to resolve. The next one is an issue of budget numbers. We've got to figure out how to be able to actually get numbers out to us in a transparent way. It is a challenge right now. I would tell you, working with the Biden team, we're trying to just find out how much has been spent of the $900 billion that was allocated in the December bill, how much has already been spent on that. So far, we're not getting answers. They're just saying we need 1.9 trillion more, but can't get an answer of how much still remains from the 900 billion. That can't be that way. We've got to actually know. As you know, Larry Summers, who came on your team at Center for American Progress while you were there, and that you made glowing remarks about him as a leader and as an economist, he's now made a pretty public statement to say, hey, if we put 1.9 trillion into the economy, this could actually push us over economically. We've got to be able to resolve that. It's the responsibility of Congress to be able to know what's already been spent, and so we can not spend more when there's still billions of dollars remaining. That will be on your desk, obviously, and it would be very important that we actually get rapid information and get accurate information. We would count on you for that process.
Senator, may I respond? Chairman, may I respond?
Yes, you may.
Thank you so much. Thank you for raising a series of issues that I think are really important. I appreciate the leadership you've shown on the taxpayer right to know. This will take some period of time, but I do want to work closely with you and your staff on ensuring that OMB is doing what it needs to do, which is a central role in making sure that this law is realized. I 100% believe that it is critical for policymakers and the public to have information about services, the government, where their resources are going. There's been a lot of advances with USA spending and other information that's provided at the federal government, but the taxpayer right to know is a critical piece of work, and I look forward to working with you on that. I also recognize that government shutdowns are, hurt economic growth, frankly, and really do mean significant dislocation. And I would just say, as we are trying to recover economically, government shutdowns are a particular problem and a sort of self-inflicted wound. So I would welcome working with you, Senator Lankford and Senator Hassan, on these issues, as well as the committee. And in terms of transparency, I also would say again that I appreciate that policymakers need information to make good policy. And on COVID or any other area, I will work with the committee to provide you with the information that you need to make good decision making.
Thank you.